I'm going to tell you the most important milestone in the career of any artist. So, when you start out, of course, whatever you make sucks, but people will look at it anyways because they like you and you're probably really young and they want to encourage your productive hobbies, and besides, it's kind of cute. As you get smoother and better and more able to say what you specifically wanted to say, people will start to like and respect it more, and eventually there's this moment. Now, it might happen actually over a long period of time, but it'll all hit you in one awesome moment when you realize that people now love your art for reasons outside of their love of you. You're no longer making stupid stuff to make your friends laugh. Now you have general appeal. It means that you've learned to wield this flighty and amorphous method of communication to a level of prowess that means people understand the things that you weren't able to say with words. It's like having your mind read by someone who loves you. And that's the most important milestone in the career of any artist, because I think deep down every artist just wants to be loved, and they have a really weird way of asking. This moment came to me by way of filmmaker Joel Haver. He had set up a contest where participants had 3 hours to make a feature-length film during the Oscars ceremony. I met up with my friend Ethan. We had no script, no plan, totally improv. Our camera ran out of battery right in the beginning, and we ended up filming pretty much the whole thing on his phone. We made a movie that was a pathetic, maybe 8 minutes long, and it was called The Hobbit 7: Hobbit Reloaded. After uploading it, I ignored it because I was used to no one watching my videos, but I started getting these notifications that people were commenting, and they were saying all these like inside jokes, like they really understood the movie, and it was total strangers. And I didn't know at the time that Joel had uploaded the video to a playlist, and that's how people were finding it. All I knew was that people who weren't my sister were enjoying my movie, and I just felt smart. When Joel Haver announced at the start of last year that he would be making 12 feature-length films in 12 months, I bought this sweatshirt. It's nice. It was like $40. People compliment me on it all the time. I just wanted to show some support because I didn't know whether he could do it. It's such a weird Herculean task. I mean, no one's ever done that before, and conventional wisdom would say, why make so many? Why not make good movies rather than a bunch of movies? And this is a common sentiment. I was reading a review for one of my 2 favorite films of the Big 12, Hiccups, and the reviewer said, I'm paraphrasing, but something like, it was good, it had holes, but, and he ended it with, I just wonder what Joel could do if he spent all this time working on one truly great film. And I think this is probably a sentiment Joel has heard in his personal relationships. It's certainly one I've heard online. And I want to disagree with that. I believe that the best films Joel made, of the 12 he made this year, are better than anything he could have come up with had he spent the whole year just making one. And I'm going to make the argument why. I think that Joel's past year of filmmaking proves that in art, quantity always beats quality. Joel's storytelling has vastly improved throughout the 12 films. This has represented itself in 2 ways: character and conflict. He's been pretty open about the fact that he doesn't write his films, he doesn't use a script or a plan. They're all improv. I used to be a naysayer of this style. Based on what I'd seen, I thought it was serviceable for his shorts and skits, but for a feature-length narrative, it didn't really hold up. I found a lot of his older films, including the first one of these 12, boring. The conflict didn't go very deep, the themes were muddied by a lot of extra pointless stuff, and the plot kind of wandered aimlessly. I was proven wrong. I think the past year of Joel's filmmaking has proven that his improv method was not the problem. The problem was just that he hadn't mastered it to the degree that he has now. One baseline problem I always noticed with his older shorts and features was the lack of context. The characters felt like they didn't have jobs or lives outside of the bounds of the film, like their worlds hadn't been affecting them before the camera was turned on. If you made a film about two dudes hanging out, which is a common subject for Joel, they were just dudes who hung out. That was their existence. Fortunately, he got better. Throughout the 12 films, characters started to have one or two or more details revealed about their lives. In the second film, Anyone Else But Me, we know that the character's goal is to become an actor. And we know how he approaches that goal. And by the fourth and sixth film, we know how the characters make money, what their apartments look like, and certainly what their goals are. Even Diarrhea Brothers felt somehow more grounded in reality than some of his older films, because they had a routine. You could kind of imagine what their lives looked like. They had a direction. If Joel had spent the whole year just making one perfect movie, he wouldn't have corrected these mistakes, and the characters would have stayed bland and unimpactful and like the disembodied voices that they used to feel like, rather than the people that they feel like now. Another thing that has greatly improved in Joel's storytelling is his ability to represent conflict. In the fourth film, Hello My Beautiful Creatures, the conflict is dialed up way, way, way beyond anything Joel has done before. It's incredibly high stakes and dramatic, which leads the characters to have really wide emotional ranges. Now, I don't want to carelessly denigrate this film, because I've done some stop motion, and it's really difficult. And this film is super special, super visually impressive, and it's truly amazing that he was able to complete it as fast as he did. That said, the conflict often feels manufactured and awkward. The emotional outbursts feel tropey and satirical, as if the characters wouldn't normally behave that way, but they have to, because the film style calls for drama. It's as if he's extending his emotional range as a storyteller, which leads the outer extremities of that emotional range to naturally be forced and awkward. I think that awkwardness is the essential growing pains that Joel Haver needed in order to be capable of extending his emotional range that far. And the later film, Love Celeste, is evidence. Love Celeste has a very natural, growing conflict, which hits some pretty extreme yet still logical ranges. That was the first film to make me tear up a little bit. There's this scene towards the end of the film where this really polite, mature, nice, accommodating character has this outburst. It's a sad and yet liberating scene. Sad because you realize the depth to which the loss of this loved one has affected him, and yet liberating because it seems like the first time he's really been honest in the movie without worrying about offending someone. I think if Joel had spent the whole year making just one perfect film, then it wouldn't have been able to reach the depth of conflict and emotional range that Love Celeste reaches, because he wouldn't have had the opportunity to experiment with Hello My Beautiful Creatures. By rushing through his projects, Joel was forced to cut the fat and just focus on good storytelling. The heart of what makes a good story is often not the things that take the longest, but the lightning in a bottle moments that usually don't take long at all. When I set out to review a film, I start by asking 3 questions. The first, what is it trying to say? Because I don't feel confident that I can tell you a movie is good or bad if I don't even know the goalpost. I don't know what it was trying to say. The second, how effectively did it communicate that? And the third, was it worth saying? Nowhere in that line of questioning is it necessary for a film to have perfect audio, perfect production quality, perfect continuity, perfect color grading. All of these things are just micronutrients. The macros are your story and your actor's performance. Yet, however, a lot of filmmakers care way too much about these micronutrients because they want to be a part of the club. They want their movie to look like a real movie so that people don't think they're wasting their time on something silly. I really appreciate that Joel is willing to just do what is necessary to clearly tell his story. Sometimes that means just pointing your camera at your actor and letting the performance take over. And my favorite films from these 12, Love, Celeste, Hiccups, Your Point Girl, were perfect examples of this. The deadlines and rush might have facilitated rather than suffocated the creative flow that was required in order to make these great films. When Ethan and I set out to make The Hobbit 7, we didn't expect it to be great or even good. We knew we had no idea, no props, no set, no plan. We just went for it. We threw paint at a wall and saw what stuck. And I don't think I've approached a film with that energy before or since. I write, I plan meticulously, I get really emotionally attached to the smallest details of my movies. I don't even like working with people or actors because I get so affected when they cancel or cause delays or do things I don't like. I'll admit, when I saw that Joel made 12 awesome movies in 12 months, I started to rethink some things. I had a dream where I met him and I grabbed him and I begged him to tell me that it was possible, that I could make a living by my art. I forced him to watch my YouTube channel and tell me if I had potential. The longest movie I've made was 26 minutes. I did stuff in between, but it took me 7 months. I know that I'm not lazy. I know he has more free time than me. I'm a student. I've been working on and off through my channel's history, sometimes full time, but I could do better if he can. I think what it is not about free time, it's about his method. You know, improv has downsides, but it has upsides. One is that it's more versatile. In an improv film, if an actor cancels, it doesn't matter. You can just not use them in that scene, or you can just base your scene around your location or your props or whatever. You don't have that affordance when you're following a script. Also, there's this element of uncertainty, like he's discovering the story as he goes, that makes it feel like a real adventure. Sometimes boring, sometimes really onto something. Contrast that with writing a script. Writing the script is discovering a story. I love writing. I have new ideas every day. But once you've written it, it's just like filling out a massive to-do list. And I'm not hating on to-do lists. They're unparalleled at making one feel productive. But when a to-do list is the size of a feature-length film script, it's a bit daunting and tedious. You know, this doesn't mean that I'm going to stop writing scripts. I love writing. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to change anything at all. I might partially change things. I'm still thinking about it, but I think it couldn't hurt to try making another movie like Hobbit 7. Another improv movie where we just throw caution to the wind and discover the story as we go and see what happens and don't worry about if it's good or bad. I think I owe that to Joel for facilitating my greatest milestone. Thank you, Joel, for everything you've done. You're literally like a mythical hero now. You're like Frodo Baggins or something. You went on a quest for a heavenly cause and inspired the world. And congratulations.